Hello again. Today I'm going to do a video just showing you my favorite effects plugins of 2014. So this was really hard to kind of whittle down and get a number of 10. I'll probably actually go over or at least show you a couple of those that I could have included in those 10 at the end. I'm not going to do massively detailed tutorials on every single one. Probably the best thing to do would be to go to the corresponding websites that I got the plugins from and get a demo and demo it for yourself if you can. Not all plugins work for everyone, but these ones have really worked with my workflow and just how I do things day to day, stuff like that. So I'm going to go through all of them, all 10, give you a little bit of a walkthrough, explain why they're one of my top 10, and yeah, like I said, go to their website, check out the demos, decide for yourself, but these are my top 10. Cool. Okay, first of all, I'm going to do this one. Okay, Slate Digital's Virtual Console collection. So basically what this plugin does is it simulates analog desks. I think I've mentioned this in other blog videos as well, so I won't spend too much time on this. But what I've done here is I've set it on a Neve console. I've driven it a little bit harder than the default 0 setting, and it basically, excuse me, it basically simulates an analog desk. So the EQ curve of an analog desk, the overdrive that occurs when you push a fader harder. It even simulates crosstalk as well. So that's why you can see I've got it on every single channel. There's two versions, there's a channel and a bus, and I'm showing you the bus at the moment. What I might do is actually show you a short part of the song and then bypass it and see if you can hear what it's doing. So I'll take out all these so you don't get confused with what all these are doing. Okay, this is a song in progress, so don't judge my mix too harshly at the moment. Drums are probably too loud, things like that, but this is what I'm working on at the moment, so here we go. So that's my first one. Okay, let's go to my second. This is becoming one of my favorite bus compressors at the moment. This is from UAD, Shadow Hills Mastering Compressor. What I love about it is it adds a bit of tone and grit and stuff to the song. It's not just a clean kind of mastering compressor, and that's why I'm loving it. It's also two-stage, there's two compressors in one. One thing I've found when mixing and mastering over the years is it's best to take small amounts off compression wise and limiting wise rather than just trying to slam it with one compressor. So this does the job really well. 2 in 1, like I said, and it just takes a little bit off each time, and yeah. Okay, so let's show you this one. Bypass first and then running through the plugin. Cool, let's go to my third. As you can see, this is SSL-G bus compressor, pretty stock standard. I love the Waves version as well. I use the Waves version live because the UAD adds a slight bit of latency, but I prefer this one if I'm running a mix like I am now and not playing live. So again, on and off, and I'll give you a comparison. Okay, my next one on the list is Oxford Inflator. I love this. It's like it's simulating subtle preamp, overdrive, like tube distortion, but it's really musical, really subtle. It seems to bring up the volume without increasing the dB level. It sounds louder even though it's not really getting that much louder. So again, I'll bypass and show you without and then with. Okay, my next one is another UAD plugin. This is great if you can put this on every single channel. I don't have enough UAD DSP power at the moment to put it on every channel. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it on the bus, the master out, and it fattens up the sound even though I'm not EQing it, even though I'm not compressing it. I'm doing nothing to it. All I'm doing is just turning on the different sections and leaving everything basically flat or off. And you'll hear the difference, so here we go. Okay, moving right along, another Slate Digital plugin. As you can see, the input's not too full on. I didn't want to add too much of this into this mix because it was already quite big sounding. So I use this a little bit more subtly on this mix. As you can see, it's just a virtual tape machine. It's emulating a tape machine. So let's turn it on and off and see the difference. Okay, this is kind of my go-to surgical EQ. It's a great mastering EQ, and it also has a lot of hidden features that a lot of you might not even know. I only figured this out just recently. So basically what it lets you do is it analyzes it and then lets you pull out frequencies based on the analyzing tool. I'll show you what I mean. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's go on to the next one. I haven't actually got to this stage of final EQ because the song's not even finished yet, but this is another one of my top 10 favorites. I use this as my last EQ on my master out, and it just sweetens everything up. You can add a lot of top end without it getting harsh. This is my final EQ that I like to just sweeten things up and tweak. Do kind of fine little tweaks at the very end. So I won't show you A-B because I haven't actually done anything on this one yet, but just a heads up, that's one of my favorite mastering EQs. Okay, and finally, this is my favorite limiter. I really like it because it's so transparent. There's a lot of limiters out there. You can get ones that fatten up the sound. You can get ones that have tubes in them, but this is probably the most versatile because it keeps your mix really clean, and that's what I'm after. If I want to add more harmonic distortion and more grit and everything, I like to do that before my limiter, so that's why I've chosen this one. I love it how you can see exactly what it's pulling out, exactly how it's working, so I'll show you that. Great, let's go on to a few more plugins that I've got further down the track list. Okay, this is really, really good. I love this thing. Again, it's UAD, Neve 1073, and basically what I use it for is the preamp emulation. I can do, but I don't actually use the EQ that much. So I've got this on the little drum loop. Let me see, here we go. And basically I've turned it up so I get a nice preamp saturation. I've also taken off the bottom end a little bit, but that's not really doing a lot. But I'll bypass, show you that engaged, and tell me what you think. If you're paying attention to this metering over here, you would have noticed that even though it turned on and off, that didn't change. It was still 6.6. but it sounded like it got louder. That's because it's adding subtle harmonic distortion and compression to it, and it just makes it sound bigger and fatter without boosting the volume too much. It still gives you a lot of headroom if you want it. So I really like this plugin. Great on vocals, great on drums, basically great on anything you want to put it on. So that's that. Another one of my plugins that I really like is this thing. It's a Waves API compressor. I love to use this as parallel compression for drums. Again, I'll show you that bypassed and going through it. I'll also show you another setting that's a bit more harsh. This is a pretty tame setting, but I'll give you another example of a really full-on kind of compression setting that I like to use. So here we go. So yeah, I love that as a compressor, especially a compressor where I'm wanting to really slam my drums and do like parallel side compression, that kind of thing. Okay, here's a couple of other plugins that I wanted to mention as well that I really like. Let me see. So on my side, by OwnBuys, it's basically a 4-band overdrive plugin, more designed for really drastic overdriven stuff. So I'll just play a little bit of a Rhodes thing, then turn it on and kind of show you what it's doing. I've just set it on the default setting. This is what happens when you open up the plugin first time. Haven't tweaked anything, it's just stock standard. So yeah, I really love that as drastic kind of overdrive. Another one that I like, that I didn't even have on this one, is this one. This is more subtle tube overdrive, but it's really nice as well. Actually, I'll give you a little taste of that as well. Okay, I'm just going to show you a little trick to finish off this blog with. I think it's down here. So this is a really cool little trick that I picked up recently, just for making stuff wider, taking a mono signal, making it bigger. You can do the same thing with vocals, all that kind of stuff. What I'll do is I'll show you without and then with, but basically this is just a basically this is just a guitar loop that I've put through a bus and put these effects on. So I'll show you without and then with, and then show you kind of what I did to get that sound. Okay, so what I'm doing here, 2 Waves plugins. I really like this thing. It should have been in my top 10, but it's one of those things that you become so familiar with, you forget about it. So this is just a widening plugin, and this is a doubler, and these are the settings that I've got here. So feel free to pause this video, take the settings down, use it if you want. But yeah, I use this a lot for widening vocals, for making mono signals stereo, for making stereo signals wider if I want them even wider. And it's a great idea to put them on a bus, and so you can add as much or as little of this effect as you want. So yeah, it's just another little tip that I like to do. And there you have it. It's my top 10, or maybe 12 or 13 by the end of that. Cool. Thanks for watching.